So we look at creation. I think we look at creation, we focus on all of the great things that God created, and that's not wrong, but today I want to look at the thing at the end. His crowning achievement. And in that crowning achievement, God says something unique. We're going to create man in our image. What is image? I think if we look at image in terms of the life that we live and the world that we live in, we can have different views of what image truly is. And completely, if we look at the world of advertisements, we get all kinds of images. Hollywood gives us an image, right? Gives us an image of notoriety, an image of name, an image of movies, of fanciness, of Rodeo Drive, of all the things that come with Hollywood. We look at the rich and famous and we get an image. How many of you remember Robin Leach, right? What a story. We go, we see these mansions that were put forth with 100 rooms, 10,000 square feet, pools, balconies, islands, planes, an image that was created. Or maybe it's the NFL, or the NHL, or the MLB, an image of sports figures. An image that you have to look a certain way and have certain talents and gifts if you're going to mean or anything. Or maybe the most important, the latest in swimsuit models, right? We have our very own here, and unfortunately he's not here today to help us. But we have these different images that are put forth in the world that we live in. And I will tell you today that none of those images matter, but they're the images that we focus on. So today I want to take a step back and look at what God meant. What is our understanding that should come of creation when God said, in our image, we're going to create mankind. To do that, we're going to start with Genesis chapter 1, and some of you may have already read this morning, but this is the scripture, starting in verse 26. This is what God has written. Then God said, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, over all the creatures that move along the ground. So God created mankind in His own image. In the image of God, He created them. Male and female, He created them. God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground. Then God said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. And to all the beasts of the earth, and all the birds in the sky, and all the creatures that move along the ground, everything that has breath of life in it, I give every green plant for food. And it was so. God saw all that He was made, and it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the sixth day. Let us pray. Dear Father, we come this morning as we study your words, as we study your scriptures, as we study what you have put for us. We pray that you'll be with us and guide us. We pray that you'll help us to understand this, that we can take it and apply it. That, Father, as we learn about the image that we are created in, we would understand who we are even better. That we would know that we are yours. And because we are yours, we are perfect in your image. We pray these things in your name, Lord. Amen. So creation. What about creation is bad? And I would say nothing about creation is bad. Creation was God's perfect design. But what makes us believe that God created the earth? You see, if you look at all of the theories that are out there by the world-renowned scientists, we would say that there was no God. Earth just happens. Perhaps the biggest resounding theory, the Big Bang. That all the chemicals in the space were in the right place at the right time, in the right organization, in the right form, in the right moment, and boom, Earth. We would say that when we look at the animals of the earth, we would say, well, they all started with an amoeba, the smallest of cells, and then all these things branch out of it. We would say that mankind was developed over a series of generations of transformation of an animal, and we evolved to be who we are. I think if we look at it that way, it really cheapens what creation is. It takes away the amazing amount of intricacy that comes. You see, if we look at creation from the God side of it, from the master builder understanding of creation, we begin to realize that creation is more than just things, but the things inside of the things. And the things inside of the things that are inside of the things, and deeper and deeper and deeper. We begin to understand that the very smallest cell in our body has an intricate part to help the next cell grow. That our DNA is a chain of millions of things all put together in a certain way that make you, you. That in and throughout creation, we have everything for a purpose. The leaves I showed the kids this morning, I don't think it's happen chance. The leaves are on trees, and the leaves themselves transfer bad stuff into good stuff so that we can breathe. The leaves go through changes themselves, and they go from being this kind of plain green to these beautiful, vibrant colors. And God paints the landscape every fall with a sea of beautiful excitement. No artist I know can paint the way God paints the landscape in the fall. So creation itself, we start with the foundation today that we understand and we believe that God created not just something, but everything. God made it for a purpose. God made it for a plan. And I think to understand our image, we have to understand that every single thing that was created for a greater purpose and a greater plan. As I said, the smallest of cells. You know, and I look around and we look at things sometimes and we say, why did God make these? The last time I got stung with a bee, I'm like, why does God make bees? Right? But if we understand if we don't have bees, we don't have plants. We don't have plants, we don't have air. We don't have air, we're in trouble. Right? There's a purpose. You've probably been in your house and you smashed some kind of bug or rodent and be like, these were awful. Why did God create these? But they all have a purpose, right? And if we take out one, we realize that we have problems somewhere else. And I believe it's only in a master creator, a master designer, that everything in this world can work together so well and so intricately. And if we didn't have that, we would be basically living in a state of chaos, of miscellaneous random events that may or may not create something good. But instead, we have a God that created it. At the end of chapter 1, 6th day, God said he looked upon all he had surveyed. And he said it was very good. God created it with a purpose and with a plan. And we have to understand that. So we have to know that image comes out of this. And I think when we look at image, we can get into a problem with image. Because we look at image, if we don't understand the creation part of it, when we don't come from it from the perspective that God created us in his image, then we get into a challenge of what image is. And we look at society today, and I think in general, society has gotten away from what God's image of us should be. Instead, we have an image of man that is presented upon us. And what is the image of man? Well, number one, every man should be wealthy. Every person, if you are somebody or something, you have money. The second thing is you're in great physical condition. If you're a man, you're well chiseled, big biceps and a pyramid figure. I'm just upside down. If I stand on my hands, I'm the perfect pyramid, right? We speak well. We have a deep, ominous voice. If you're a lady, pick up Sports Illustrated or pick up, everybody gets a Victoria's Secret catalog today. Tiny, thin, well-rounded, perfect hair, perfect makeup, perfect lips. The world today spends billions of dollars on cosmetic surgery to make us perfect in mankind's image. But that's not the image that God created us and wants us to be. And because we focused on the wrong image, we now today have all kinds of problems. We have people that are badly upset because they don't look like Heidi Klum or they don't look like this supermodel. We have men today that are distraught in life because they can't play the sport they always wanted to play. We see suicide rates high. We see drug abuse up. We see people that are just losing their minds because they don't look or act or in their mind meet the image that people have created for us to be. So we have an image crisis in the country. And I think when we talk about image, we never talk about it in the respect or from the point of view of God's creation. We talk about image in the respect or the point of view of Hollywood's creation of image. Of what you see on the marketing ads. And this goes back a long ways, right? If you used to chew Double Mint gum, we had the Double Mint twins, right? That was the commercial when I was a kid in the 80s. So this image thing hasn't just happened. This has been a progression and society to pull us away from the image of what God has created us to be and turn us into the image of what we think we want ourselves to look like. When we look at that image, when we get stuck in that, we end up with desolation, right? We end up with despair. We end up with hatred. We end up with pain. We end up with problems. So where do we go from there? Because if we leave it here today, I think we're all going to go home and say, man, this is not a good outlook on life. Right? That image can destroy us, but I want to go a step further and beyond that. In Genesis, if you remember, it says, let us create man in our image. In our image, let us create mankind. So if we go into 2 Peter, we look at this death and destruction part again. And then if we jump on to, I put the wrong scripture in there. Look at that. All right. So if we go on, I'll read it to you because I have it here, and I put the wrong one on. So if we go to John, is what I meant to go to, chapter 1, it says this. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through Him all things were made. Without Him nothing was made that has been made. In Him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. You see, when we look at image, we forget this part. We forget the part that when God created us, Jesus Christ, the Holy Spirit, we're all together in creation. And to take it out of context, I can see them sitting around the kitchen table being going, what should we make? What should it look like? What should it do? And if God has created us with a creative mind, I can only imagine the creativity around that table. I mean, there had to be some creativity. There had a little bit of jubilousness. They created possums. What an ugly animal. And God created it and said, this is good. Here's a possum. But He created us separate. You see, God waited until the very end. He created everything else He could think of. And He said, we need to create one more thing. We need to create that thing that we, God, the Trinity, can converse with, that can work with. That we can give authority and power over all these things. That we have somebody that is like us. That we have somebody that is special, that is set aside. And so on the sixth day, at the end of creation, God created man. And when He created man, He said, man needs a helper. And He created woman. And Adam and Eve. And it says in the garden they were naked and they felt no shame. In creation, in that time before sin came along, before Satan poisoned the world, Adam and Eve didn't have a misrepresented view of image. What they understood image was, we understand God in the garden with us. In their images, we long to speak to Him. And God would walk in the garden and talk to Adam and Eve. And they had the perfect relationship, creator to creation. And their image was all God. It's what they understood. If you would have asked Adam and Eve to self-identify in the garden before sin, they would have said, well, we're God's children. We don't know any other way to describe ourselves. But today something's happened. Sin came into the world. If we read on in Genesis 2, Satan tempts Eve, and Eve eats the apple. Right? And if that wasn't bad enough, Eve takes the apple home, and Adam says, I'm not going to listen to God. I'm going to listen to Eve. And Adam, I think, even creates a worse sin because he wasn't tempted directly by Satan. He was tempted by another creation. And at that point in time, God comes to the garden and it says He can't find Adam and Eve. Now, how many of you parents have been here, right? You go into your kid's room and there's nobody around and there's silence. As a parent, the worst sound in the world in your house is silence. And I think God thought the same thing. Where are you? And Adam and Eve would come out and He goes, what are you two doing? They said, we're hiding because we're naked and we felt shame. And God looks at them and says, who told you you were naked? Because you didn't know anything. You only knew that you were mine and you were in my image. But see, today, because we have sin, we've shot this image ahead of what we should be. And we should look a certain way, we should dress a certain way, we should have a certain job, we should do a certain thing. And that's not what God created. That wasn't the whole point of all of it. God created us to be His, special and unique in every single way. God gave Adam and Eve the charge to populate the earth. He didn't say, have kids that play football, have kids that sing, have kids that play music, have kids that give speeches. He said, populate the earth. I want more more children. I want more of you. I want more people to share this world that I've created with. And then sin messed that all up and tangled it. So, image matters. But we have to understand what that image is that does matter. When we look at John 3:16, you all know that verse well. For God so loved the world so much that He gave His only Son to save us. And in verse 17, because God, Jesus, didn't come to condemn the world, but rather to save the world through Him. And see, if we understand what happened on Easter morning, then we as Christians should look at our image much more like a Genesis 1 than we do in a Genesis 3. We should look at our image from the inside out. We should see what God sees when He looks into our hearts. You see, it's a simple image. But I looked at the kids this morning, and I think most of us, when we go through the woods in the springtime, are more worried about the mosquitoes than we are the green leaves. Because after all, leaves are always green and mosquitoes are annoying, right? If we go through the woods in the fall, especially for those of you that are hunters, I can't help but sit and marvel at the way the woods look. Everywhere's different. Different colors, different shapes, different images. What God sees in us is the fall leaves. What the world sees in us are the green leaves. The world looks at us and says everybody is the same. Right? There are only a few that stand above the crowd. If you hear the reports, if you listen to the NFL, almost every Sunday you hear some reporters say, well, everybody wants to be in the NFL, but there's only 53 men on 16 teams that really make it. Right? What that's saying is the other 10 million men in the world aren't worthy. That's the image that the world creates for us. What God would say to us is every single one of you have been created perfect. What is your gift? What is your godly image that you've been asked to share with the world? What are you speaking of? And the same for the ladies. You've been created perfect. It doesn't matter shape, size. You're created perfect for a purpose, for a reason. To help transform this world. So what is our God's image? Peter tells the church in 1 Peter to be found spotless and blameless in the eyes of God. In 2 Peter is what it says. Since everything will be destroyed this way, what kind of people ought you to be? The question of image. You ought to live holy and godly lives as you look forward to the day of God and speed its coming. That day will bring about the destruction of the heavens by fire. The elements will melt in the heat. But in keeping with this promise, we are looking forward to a new heaven and a new earth where righteousness dwells. So then, dear friends, since you are looking forward to this, make every effort to be found spotless, blameless, and at peace. See, friends, at the end of days, God's not going to look down and say, ooh, that guy's worth $10 million. We'll slide him off to the side. Or he's not going to look down and say, well, that's the CEO of a new marketing company. We'll let him go. Or that's the quarterback for the New England Patriots. We'll move him under the other pot. No, we'll slide him aside, right? God's not going to separate us that way. God's going to look down and He's going to see the God image inside of each of us. And some people have chosen to follow Christ and write that on their hearts. To write Jesus Christ on their image. And some people haven't. And what God's going to see when He looks down is those that have written the image of Christ on them. And He's going to say, these are my children. I'm calling them home, back to the garden. Friends, today I want you to all be assured that it doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter how you feel today. It doesn't matter whether it was good hair day or bad hair day. It doesn't matter whether your clothes match or they don't. It doesn't matter whether your kids are wearing socks and shoes or they're in some mismatched pair of sandals that you dug out of the closet and stuck in the house with. None of that matters. What matters is that we understand our heart's image, how God sees us, and then how we translate that out. Do we translate to the world that we want to be up here where society puts us? Or do we translate to the world that we want to be who God created us to be? That we want to be the red and the orange and the yellow leaves. Whether we're big leaves or small leaves, doesn't matter. We want to translate the image that God created in our hearts. So friends, today I want to encourage you this. Peter tells us to be found spotless and blameless. The best way to do that is to strive each day to live godly lives. What does it mean to live godly lives? It means to look inside and say, God, who did you create me to be? And I'm going to be that regardless of what society tells me. If that means people don't like me because I love Jesus Christ, then that's okay. If that means that people don't want to talk to me because I believe today that I need to help somebody out because it just is on my heart, I need to help them, then that's okay. I'm going to go help those people. That each and every day we come more and more and more like the image God created in us. That we're transformed on the outside. Not that we become thinner or bigger, but that when people see us, they look at us and say, there's something different about it. There's something unique. There's something special. And that unique and special is what God created in us in perfect creation. And if we believe that God created everything in 5 days that it says He created in the Bible, then why should we not believe that on the sixth day, when He said it was the best part of His creation, that we are unique and special and perfect? So friends, today, image matters. But not the image of the world. The image that God gave us. So I would encourage us today as we go from this place to live godly lives. To be holy and spotless. To be blameless. To know that when Jesus Christ is written on our heart, it doesn't matter what anything else happens in this world, because when God looks down, He's going to say, you're mine. I'm bringing you home. It doesn't matter what car you drive. It doesn't matter what sport you play. It doesn't matter what job you work. It doesn't matter how many kids you have. None of that matters. What matters is that we understand Jesus Christ and we teach other people what we know. We share the message of hope. We share the message of joy. We share the message with a boldness and a courage that only God can give us. Today, friends, know that you are the sons and daughters of Jesus Christ. It doesn't matter how tall you are, how short you are. It doesn't matter how thin you are, how round you are. It doesn't matter whether you have long hair or you're maybe a little bit shy in the department. What matters is God created you perfect. Understand that and live a life knowing that God is yours and you are His. And for that reason, nothing on this earth matters except that we share the hope and the grace and the love of a perfect Creator. Let's pray. Dear Father, we come today and pray that you'll be with us and guide us, that you will lift us up in your hands. That Father, you help us to understand that you created us first. And because you created us, because you put us here, because in that verse you said it is so very good that we have nothing to fear. We have nothing to worry about. We have nothing to hold back from. That Father, today we would take advantage of knowing that we are yours and we are created for a purpose, and we go out into this world and become the leaves of fall. That we would shine brightly in our communities in reds and yellows and greens and blues and pinks and whatever colors shine out. That Father, the light that bursts forth from us is the light of love and grace in your Son, Jesus Christ. In your name we pray. Amen.